Are you alive? I found my niece, who was supposed to have died in a car accident at the age of 5, at my in-laws' house. In her memorial photo, she had a cute, round face, but now she was so skinny that I couldn't believe it was her until I heard her voice.
Help me. I want to see Mom.
The hand reaching out to me for help was too weak to grasp anything. From that moment on, I began to uncover the dark secrets of my in-laws' family. When I was 25, I married Jackson, who was 3 years older than me and whom I met at work. I grew up in the same area where I worked, but Jackson was born and raised in a much more rural area. When we went to greet his parents for the marriage announcement, we drove for hours, arriving at a place surrounded by endless fields. There stood the largest mansion in the area, Jackson's family home, belonging to the most powerful family there.
Well, it's a bit formal here, but Chloe, you don't need to be so nervous.
Jackson smiled at me, but it was impossible not to be nervous. The house was enormous, grand, and imposing like a small castle, with a well-maintained large garden. At that moment, I was overwhelmed, realizing I was marrying into an incredible family. However, a kind-looking woman and a child greeted me at the entrance.
Hello.
The cheerful greeting came from Michelle, Jackson's niece, and next to her, quietly smiling, was his sister-in-law, Amelia. Nice to meet you. Amelia kindly reassured me. It's okay, as I stammered. I learned that she took care of the house and the garden all by herself.
We planted those tulips together.
In the flower bed she pointed to, many tulips were blooming, with only one being red.
Mom loves flowers.
Thanks to Michelle and Amelia, I began to relax.
How long are you going to chat at the entrance?
A man's angry voice came from inside the house.
Dad's calling. We should go in.
Jackson hurriedly took off his shoes and went inside, so I quickly followed. In the living room, waiting for us, were his father, James, and his brother, Grant. They looked me up and down and muttered, "So this is it." What? What does that mean? I was stunned and confused.
This is my fiancée, Chloe.
At Jackson's words, I quickly bowed my head. Nice to meet you. I'm Chloe.
Hey, hurry up and bring the tea.
But it seemed like they didn't hear my greeting. Grant ordered Amelia, and she hurriedly came with a tray.
You're so slow.
Grant clicked his tongue in annoyance, and Amelia apologized. I'm sorry. I felt an uneasy feeling watching this scene.
Chloe, you must be tired. Have a seat on the sofa.
As Jackson suggested, I was about to sit down.
You should act more like a woman. Get to the kitchen and start working.
I was stunned by his words and couldn't move, but Jackson intervened.
She came from far away and is tired today. Give her a break. Chloe doesn't have to do anything.
But I couldn't not help out when I was about to become part of the family. I'll go help Amelia. Though tired, I thought it better than staying with my father-in-law and brother-in-law, so I hurried to the kitchen.
Oh, you're going to help too? Yay!
There, Amelia was not alone. Young Michelle was also helping prepare dinner. Michelle, do you always help your mom? That's great.
They say it's only natural because I'm a girl.
Though helping is good, it felt forced somehow. I see.
And we also eat here with just Mom.
It didn't seem like Amelia and Michelle were treated well in this house. Emilia, is this really okay with you? Emilia lowered her shoulders. I'm remarried, and as long as I can be with Michelle, it's fine. She looked down sadly. She explained that her previous husband cheated, leading to their divorce, and soon after, Grant, an acquaintance, contacted her, leading to their marriage. Living as a single mother in the countryside was tough, and she remarried, but her expression was not happy. It seems really tough. Are you okay? I felt concerned but couldn't do anything. The next day after spending the night, Jackson and I left his parents' house.
Chloe, come again.
Michelle, who I had gotten close to, waved enthusiastically at our car. Next to her, Emilia also smiled as she saw us off. I had no idea that this farewell would be the last. A few months later, in the summer, we were having dinner when Grant called. Jackson's face turned very dark after hanging up. What's wrong?
Emilia and Michelle died in a car accident.
No way. Remembering our last encounter, I fought back tears. Then we should hurry to help with the funeral.
But
Jackson hesitated and looked away.
they died a week ago, and the funeral is already over.
What? Since Emilia was a second wife and Michelle wasn't Grant's biological child, they only had a cremation without inviting anyone. That's just too cruel.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Jackson, looking down, was also crying. He had noticed the way his father and brother treated Emilia and Michelle and had tried to warn them.
Stay out of it. You are the second son.
His father had sternly told him. He had shared with me earlier. We spent that night unable to sleep, tormented by the regret of not being able to do anything for Emilia and Michelle. Half a year later, we were directly invited by my in-laws to come back for New Year's greetings to the neighbors.
We postponed the wedding because of everything that happened. Now my family insists on gathering everyone for New Year's and introducing you.
His father and brother had forcibly insisted, and Jackson couldn't refuse.
I'm sorry, Chloe. But can you come with me?
Seeing Jackson bow his head apologetically, I nodded despite my own reservations. But isn't it inappropriate to celebrate when Emilia and Michelle just passed away? Jackson nodded deeply, sharing my sentiment. Although it felt somewhat improper, we couldn't say no if the family insisted. I convinced myself they were trying to fill the void and decided to accompany Jackson to his family's home. When we arrived, the house was bustling with many people like a festival. Relatives and locals had gathered. Grant noticed us and approached.
Thanks for coming today. This year is special because you joined our family, and we wanted to introduce you on this joyous occasion.
I appreciate the sentiment, but with what happened to Emilia, it feels a bit uncomfortable. I glanced at the garden where Emilia's favorite flower bed was. 6 months ago, it was filled with vibrant flowers, but now it was overrun with weeds. I thought Grant might still be mourning, but surprisingly, he showed no sign of sadness and smiled.
Actually, Emilia and I weren't getting along. I was planning to divorce her, so I don't feel that sad.
His nonchalant tone made me question my ears. Despite the lack of love, his indifference to losing his wife and child sent chills down my spine.
By the way, Chloe, do you have kids yet? We weren't successful, so we're counting on you.
Grant lightly patted my back and then moved on to greet other guests. Not successful? Those words stuck with me. I shook my head to forget them. As I was feeling a chill, my father-in-law approached with a stern look. "Ah, James. Thank you for inviting us.
You still have that boyish haircut. I've told you women should grow their hair to their waist."
Interrupting my greeting, my father-in-law glared at me. My hair only reached my shoulders. His deep-seated belief in traditional gender roles reminded me of the first time I met him, during our wedding greeting. On top of that, he took the glass I was holding to drink from.
You need to act more like a woman. Cooking, cleaning, and preparing drinks are a wife's duties.
Just like before, I was ordered around like a servant and ended up in the kitchen without any semblance of a warm welcome. Jackson noticed and came to check on me, but my father-in-law called him back to the drinking party. When I went to the kitchen, a few female relatives who seemed to be helping out saw me, and one of them said, "So, the main house's wife has finally arrived." She left without greeting me. So, this is how my New Year's holiday will end. Feeling disheartened by the mountain of dishes, I silently continued my work. The invitation to celebrate was just an excuse. They needed a housekeeper. "Emilia, you went through this every year too." I had somewhat braced myself for this, but doing it alone felt much more discouraging. I remembered Michelle's smile and Emilia's gentle face, which only made me feel lonelier. A few hours passed, and before I knew it, it was past midnight. The new year had arrived. My father-in-law and the relatives got up and headed towards the entrance.
We're going to the church now. Everyone, get ready.
I rushed out of the kitchen to prepare, only to be met with a fierce glare from my father-in-law.
The wife stays behind to clean the house and prepare more drinks. We'll drink again when we return, so stay and work. Father, that's not fair to Chloe. I'll stay and help her.
Jackson intervened, but my father-in-law clicked his tongue.
What kind of woman would make a man do housework? This is proof Jackson isn't properly disciplined.
Jackson shrunk back at his father's words. "I'm fine. Please, go ahead." I gave up and answered, and Jackson looked at me apologetically.
We'll be back in an hour. Just do what you're told and nothing more.
I didn't understand what he meant by nothing more. "What?" I asked, and he pointed to a room I had never been in.
Do not enter that room. You're still an outsider to me.
With that, they left for the nearby church. In the now silent house, I let out a big sigh and began preparing for the second round of drinking. The long trip here and the constant chores left me exhausted, but I couldn't rest yet. Rubbing my sleepy eyes, I continued washing dishes. Suddenly, a plate slipped from my hand and shattered loudly in the quiet room. Oh no! If they found out, who knows what my father-in-law would say. I frantically searched for a vacuum cleaner but couldn't find it anywhere. I opened doors and storage rooms in a hurry, and found myself in front of the forbidden room. I'm just looking for the vacuum. It'll be worse if I don't clean up. I steeled myself and opened the door. Immediately, I found the vacuum cleaner and reached for it. Good, now I can clean up without them knowing. I breathed a sigh of relief and looked around. The room was empty. Why can't I enter this room? As I wondered, I heard a strange noise. What? What's that? Was it a ghost? I froze, listening closely. The sound was like something heavy being dragged. In the silent room, it was oddly loud. The sound seemed to come from the ceiling. Maybe an animal got into the attic? Better than a ghost, I thought, but now I was curious about the attic. There are no ghosts. Despite my fear, curiosity drove me forward. I found stairs leading to the attic and cautiously climbed up. What I saw exceeded my worst fears. A child. And chained. In the cobweb-filled darkness, a small girl was curled up. Her hands were bound, preventing escape. I couldn't tell if she was real or a ghost, and I panicked.
I'm hungry.
I recognized that voice. My heart raced, and I rushed over, lifting her long bangs to reveal her face. Michelle? You're alive? It was Michelle, who was supposed to have died in the accident with Amelia 6 months ago. She looked at me blankly, emaciated but unmistakably Michelle.
Aunt Chloe? Help me. I want to see Mommy.
The chain was hooked high, out of her reach. I unhooked it and carried her to the kitchen. I made some soup and slowly fed her. Color returned to her cheeks. Why were you in there? She couldn't have wandered in by accident.
Where's Mommy? I want to see Mommy.
She suddenly started crying. It was odd.
No matter how much I cried, she never came. Is Mommy okay?
It was as if she didn't know about the accident. Michelle, do you not know?
Know what?
I couldn't tell her the truth. I changed the subject. Were you always in the dark?
Yes. Uncle and Grandpa locked me up. I was scared.
Her uncle was Grant, her stepfather. He never earned her trust enough to be called Daddy. Why would they do such a thing? I didn't understand Grant and my father-in-law's motives, but it wasn't safe to stay. I wrapped Michelle in a blanket and hid her in the back seat of my car.
Aunt Chloe, are Mommy's flowers blooming?
On the way, Michelle, sleepy after eating, murmured.
In Mommy's garden, there was one red tulip. She said something important is there.
What? I was about to start the car but stopped at her words.
Mommy said to give it to you and Uncle Jackson if anything scary happened.
The garden was dark, and the flowers were dead. I had no idea where the tulip had been. Was the tulip over there? As I pondered, my father-in-law and the others returned from the church.
Why are you outside? Is the food ready?
We ran out of drinks, so I was about to go buy some. I quickly made an excuse and grabbed Jackson's hand, pulling him into the car. Please help me find a store.
Okay. You drive.
Jackson seemed to sense something and quietly got in. My brother-in-law tried to stop us, but I managed to drive off.
What on earth is going on?
Jackson seemed to think that I had stormed out because I couldn't handle the household chores anymore. So, I told him everything about Michelle.
I can't believe this has been happening.
As expected, he didn't know anything about it. Surprised, his drunkenness quickly faded as he turned around and pulled back the blanket in the back seat. Michelle was sleeping soundly, seemingly reassured.
So, Michelle doesn't know her mother passed away, which means the story about them being in a car accident together was a lie.
That's probably what it means. Even piecing together the limited information we had, we couldn't understand why things had turned out this way. So, I made a decision. I'm going to take Michelle to a safe place, and then I'm going back to your family's house to find what Amelia was hiding.
It's too dangerous for you to go back. I'll go instead.
No, Jackson. You probably wouldn't know the exact location. It might indeed be dangerous, but I had to find out what Amelia wanted to convey to us. Jackson, please hide Michelle and then contact the police. My husband seemed to be considering something.
There's someone I want to inform before the police. It's better this way.
He appeared to be talking to himself. He took out his phone and started looking for the number of that person. I drove the car for over an hour to reach the city and found a business hotel. I intended to put Michelle to bed and immediately return to the family house, but I ended up lying down beside her and fell asleep. When I woke up, it was morning.
Good morning. Did you sleep well? So, are you still going to my parents' house?
Jackson's gentle expression almost made me reconsider, but I nodded firmly. I have to clear Amelia's regrets.
But wouldn't it be better if I went with you?
If you come, then Michelle will be in danger. I understood his feelings, but I couldn't yield on this matter. I gently stroked Michelle's head, still asleep, took the car keys, and stood up. Near the family house, I hid the car in the shadow of the woods to avoid detection and walked the rest of the way. It was still early in the morning, so I managed to reach the house without encountering anyone. I started digging up the withered flower bed with my bare hands, keeping my breathing low. However, my hands were numb and my fingertips hurt. Although I remembered the location of the flower bed where the tulip bloomed, I couldn't pinpoint the exact position of the red flower, making it hard to find. Blood eventually began to seep from my hands, but I endured, gritting my teeth. What could be in this flower bed? I wondered what Amelia had told us to look for in case something happened. Amelia. It was really an accident, right? The thought that she might have anticipated something terrible left me with a very bad feeling.
It was an accident. There's no doubt about it.
I jumped at the sudden voice of my brother-in-law. When I turned around, Grant was looking at me with a smile colder than the winter sky.
I was surprised yesterday. Where did you go to buy drinks?
I'm sorry. I ran out of gas on the way back and couldn't return. Grant laughed through his nose at my attempt to come up with an excuse.
Really, wasn't it because you had a lot of luggage? Like, say, one child.
I realized he knew I had taken Michelle. Before I could think of what to say, Grant approached slowly.
That child isn't my blood. So, I hid her to make it as if she never existed.
What are you talking about?
So, a child who has no right to inherit this house is just a nuisance.
His sinister smile sent chills down my spine. To do such a terrible thing to Michelle for that reason. If anyone finds out, you won't get away with it.
Exactly. That's why no one knows. And anyone who finds out can be hidden away.
Grant reached out to grab me, but I was so terrified that I fell back onto the flower bed, unable to stand. Stay away. I grabbed a handful of dirt and threw it at him, causing him to flinch slightly. As I reached for more dirt, I found something buried. It was a diary in a plastic bag with Amelia's name on the cover. This is it. Grant also noticed and longed to snatch it, but I hugged it to my chest, trying my best to keep it from him. However, I couldn't match his strength, and he hit me repeatedly until I nearly lost consciousness. At that moment, a sharp voice shouted, "Stop!" I turned to see a sturdy man glaring at Grant, with Jackson beside him, catching his breath. "Why are you here?" The man grabbed Grant by the collar and demanded, "Give me back my daughter, Michelle." It was Michelle's biological father. Jackson had told me last night that he was a distant friend, and after Amelia's death, he had learned about Michelle and had been in contact with Jackson. Michelle's father explained that they had been tricked into divorcing. Both believed the other was unfaithful due to fake evidence, which was orchestrated by Grant. By the time he realized the truth, he had been told Amelia and Michelle had died. The man pulled Grant away from me and growled,
"Is it true you mistreated my child?" "Who knows? You have no proof."
Grant remained unfazed. He must have already cleaned up the attic after noticing Michelle's absence. "We have Michelle's testimony."
"A child's words are unreliable. How do you plan to catch me?"
Grant smirked arrogantly, but Michelle's father silently pulled out something from his chest pocket.
"What? You're a cop."
Seeing the police badge, Grant flinched but quickly retorted,
"I have connections with the top brass here. I'll get you fired."
However, Michelle's father remained calm.
"I'm higher up than that. I usually keep it hidden for investigation purposes."
Grant turned pale at his words. Eventually, Grant was handcuffed and glared at me.
"This is all your fault. You meddled too much.
You should reflect on your actions. And you deliberately caused Amelia's accident, didn't you?" I had read Amelia's diary while Grant was being apprehended. It said that Grant had told her, "I want your insurance money, so go to the other world," prompting her to write it down in a panic and hide the diary. It seemed Amelia had tried to save Michelle while she was trapped, but it hadn't worked out. I'm sure there are more clues in this diary.
No. Please, I don't want to be caught. Help me.
Grant suddenly started begging on his knees. Hearing the commotion, my father-in-law came out, yelling, "What's all this noise?" Despite his usual overbearing attitude, my brother-in-law pointed at him.
"I was just following Dad's example. He got rid of Mom the same way."
My father-in-law turned red with anger at the sudden confession and shouted, "Don't say unnecessary things."
"I did everything according to Dad's instructions with Amelia and Michelle. It's all Dad's fault."
The scene was chaotic, with my brother-in-law acting like a child and my father-in-law yelling at him. Michelle's father firmly said, "You need to come to the police station too," and pushed them into the car without letting them protest. I can't believe this is happening. As the car drove away with the two inside, I sat there in a daze, unable to process the sudden turn of events. Jackson patted my head and said, "You did well." Later, I received news that Grant had been formally arrested. He would be judged by the law for his actions against Michelle and Amelia. It was also revealed that my mother-in-law, believed to have died of illness, had also been a victim of my father-in-law's schemes. Neither of them would ever leave prison. I hoped they would regret their actions in their dark cells. Michelle was taken in by her biological father and now lived with her grandparents. The last time I saw her, she smiled at me just like the first time we met.
Aunt Chloe, I was so happy when you saved me. Thank you.
Her tears as we parted were warm as I wiped them away. I wanted her to be happier than anyone else after enduring such a cruel tradition. Jackson and I waved until the car carrying Michelle and her father was out of sight. How did you like this story? Please subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.